Today's podcast is presented by Podgo. Podgo is the easiest way for you to monetize your podcast, providing podcasters with a flat rate for ad space so you always know how much you get when you include an ad from Podgo. Apply today to become a member and immediately be connected with advertisers that fit your audience. That's podgo.co at podgo.co. And be sure to add the Slang Self Doubt podcast in the How Did You Hear About Podgo section of the application. You're listening to the Slaying Self-Doubt podcast with Coach Felicia, where we empower Black women to overcome their doubts, fears, and insecurities in order to give birth to their God-given purpose. Join me and sometimes some of my friends on our journey as we remind you that you are not alone. I'm Felicia Wallace, and together we will find our fears and slay them. Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of the Slaying Self-Doubt podcast. It's your girl Felicia Wallace. As always, welcome to all the new and continued listeners. No matter how you found me, I hope that you have been enjoying what you've been hearing, whether it is the solo episode or the guest episode. I just want to ask you to keep sharing, keep listening, keep supporting. Speaking of support, we got a listener who donated 5 coffees to me through the buy me a coffee donation app to support the podcast. So thank you so much for your support. If this podcast is resonating with you and you feel like you want to be able to share your support or show your support rather, that is a way that you can do that to allow for this podcast to continue to grow, continue to reach the masses, and for us to all just be on this journey together. So this week, I've had a couple of personal wins, within the business, but it's been personal because there's been things that I was actually struggling with. So one of the things is that I have officially stated that I am accepting new clients in November for coaching services. And that is a huge thing for me because I really would do it privately. So I would reach out to people that I knew or someone that I know has said something to me about it and would be like, hey, remember you had mentioned blah, blah, blah. Would you be interested? Da, 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 da. And so working with my mentor coach, she's been pushing me, but she was really pushing me to put myself out there and to just ask, right? And to just let people know that I'm available. Because it's not like I'm not doing the work. Y'all just don't know. Now, I may have put something out there that said, like, oh, book a connection call if you're interested. But if you don't know what my availability is and you don't know what's going on, then how do you know whether or not it's actually if it's available and if it's what you want to do? So that was a huge deal to me because I actually didn't think I would ever do that, but I did. And so if you are interested or if you know someone who is interested in life coaching, and like I've told y'all, but y'all listen to me weekly, so you're gonna get the same energy here. But if you know somebody that's interested or you're interested, just book a connection call with me and we can have a conversation about it, what it is that you are looking for. I tell you what my expectations are, what it is I do, what it is I don't, so that you are clear and you can make an informed decision. So if that is something you're interested in, remember, go to the website, www.feliciawallace.com, or I think you can click the link in my bio on my IG page. I'm almost positive you can. The other thing I did is I started listening so y'all know during that grief series, I had mentioned to you all that during that time, I wasn't really intentionally being connected to God and listening to service and worshiping and stuff. Some of it was just because I was in my sadness, right? And so I, was like, okay, I got to get back into this because I know it fills me up. And so this week I started back listening to Transformation Church. I had been listening off and on, but he started a new series called Crazy of Faith. And when I tell you that thing is right on time for me, it is right on time. I will put a link in the show notes for the series. I listen to it via the podcast versus on YouTube just because I can do it on the go. But it has definitely blessed my life. It definitely put me in a space of just being able to imagine what life could be like if I really put my all into this. If I really took slaying self-doubt as serious as I want to take it, right? There's a difference between saying you are a business and operating like a business. And I believe that for a very long time, I just was saying that was a business and not fully being able to operate in a business, because I just had to get some things together. And this week, so many things were like aligning with like stuff I would see on social media, or something somebody would tell me, something a client would tell me, that it was just like adding up to me. That's just like, Felicia, okay, you're going to have to do things a little bit differently now if this is what, this is what you truly want. And it also goes into what we're going to talk about today, where we're going to talk about the support of a community, and what that can look like, what it should look like, and maybe even what you want it to look like. It's just different. So I do want to use the same scripture we were using last week, which is Hebrews 10:24-25, the Passion Translation, which says, discover creative ways to encourage each other and to motivate them towards acts of compassion, doing works as expressions of love. This is not the time to pull away and neglect meeting together, as some have formed the habit of doing. In fact, we should come together even more frequently, eager to encourage and urge each other onward as we anticipate the day dawning. And so I want to use the same scripture to talk about how being a part of a community can support you if you're willing. All right. So the support of a community could look like so many different things. It could be, let's say, okay, since I'm using myself an example, so some of the ways that my community supports me is by posting my stuff on social media, listening to the podcast. Some of my community had purchased my services. Some of my community will talk me through certain things when I'm going through whatever, like a moment. Some is encouraging words, randomly they will reach out to me and be like, hey, I was listening to the podcast, I just want to say how proud I am of you. They will, celebrate my wins with me and for me. They encourage me to do better, do more, grow, all those things. And it's been such a blessing to me to be able to have that type of community to that is pouring into me, right? And so we have had this conversation before, people, and we're going to have it again. Some There's a part of support that requires some action from you, and that is asking for help. Um, Currently, I'm a part of a few communities. So, of course, I have my small groups, and that is, even though I'm the leader of the community, it's still a community. I'm a part of a health community with my health coach. I'm a part of a creators community for my business, and I'm a part of a coaching community, right? And when I was thinking this week about things that I need to do in order to pursue what it is that I feel that God has for me to do next, and to pursue some of the things to really work as a business, like fully, like to be a CEO, right? And not just an employee. So let me pause right there, because I feel like when I left my job and I said I was going to pursue this, even with me not knowing what I was going to do next, I came into this just being a worker. I was doing the busy work. Oh, let me check emails. Let me do this. Let me do that. And it wasn't really until honestly this week that I was like, okay, you have to be the CEO, which means the CEO has to see the vision for the organization, for the company, and then be able to put the things into place where it needs to go. Now, I am one person, right? I can't do all of the things. I don't even know how to do all the things, but I'm over here stressing myself out, twiddling my thumbs, being procrastinating because I am not literally using the community around me to help me, because I'm afraid to ask for help. Why am I afraid to ask for help? Possibly because I don't want to look like I don't know anything, right? Possibly because what if people assume that I have all the answers, and when they find out that I don't have all the answers, then I will lose somebody's support? What if I ask and they give me the wrong answer and it don't work out and I'm in the same place? The reality is that I won't know unless I actually do it. When I think about the example of let's just use my health coach, right? And working with her, like she and I have a rapport. She and I have a a relationship, and I can talk to her and share things with her. But this community that she's building amongst other women, mothers, wives, entrepreneurs, who all are, what the commonality is that we all are working with her to get healthier in some form of fashion, whatever that may look like for each of us. However, I'm too afraid to ask a simple question of like, what do you do when you want to eat something and you're out in public and you didn't properly plan, right? Or sharing my wins of saying, hey, I worked out this week and I actually did some arms or some strength training, or saying that, y'all, I have not done nothing for the past 3 months and I'm back to my start weight. I need some encouragement. It is no, I said this last week, it is useless to be a part of a community if you aren't going to use the community. You're literally taking up space. And I've recognized that I've been taking up space that may be for some communities somebody else could have had the spot, because you have some communities where they have a limited amount of people. The other part is that how does the leader of the community, I think about how I feel as a leader in my small groups. If my group members aren't participating, if they don't show up, if they aren't communicating, my assumption is that, is everything okay? Are you fine? You may talk to me, you may share with me, but you're not coming to the group things. It doesn't make me feel like you're a willing participant. So how am I supposed to trust you, and vice versa? Like how do we as a group trust you if you're not doing your part? And I recognize that in building a community and creating um a community for you, or being a part of a community, requires some type of vulnerability. And if I'm not willing to be vulnerable enough to be able to be a witness, share my testimony, share my failures, share my wins, and expect the support or expect the encouragement, then what's the purpose? Right? Like, legit, what is the purpose of it all? In that scripture that I read, it says, this is not the time to pull away and neglect meeting together, as some have formed the habit of doing. I told you last week, that's the place I've been. I was withdrawn. And now I feel a sense of like, how do I go back into this space knowing that I haven't really shared what I want to share, and how will people look at me? And the funny part about it is that when I talk to the leaders of these communities that I'm in, they're like, girl, share that. Tell them that, because they know that there's probably other people who are in the exact same boat. And so when you think about support and what support looks like in the community, that's exactly what it looks like. It looks like people who are in the same situation as you, and you all are helping each other. If you are in a community where nobody is encouraging and lifting you up when you fall, or telling you the things, empowering you to do more and to be better, then I can guarantee you it's the wrong community. It definitely is, because it's not about saying we all are winning, because we're not all winning at the same time, and we're not all winning all the time. That's not even life. It's not real. And so if you want a true community, it's about the vulnerability. It's about being honest. It's about the transparency. It's about saying, this week sucked, I did nothing. It's about the fact that one of the other groups that I'm in a creative group, she posted something today. The leader posted something today saying something to the effect of like, what things do you need to be doing to really step up, step up as a CEO, step up as a creator, step into your business fully. And I said, charging my worth. Now, here I am, someone saying that I love what I'm doing, right? I recognize that this is where God has me. I recognize it from what my clients have been saying, like, this is what I was meant to do. Like, I feel that and I know that, but is that displayed in my pricing? Am I trusting all of myself to say that this is truly what it is that I want to do? Am I putting in the value that I'm giving to them willingly, in the price that I'm charging them? And the basic answer is no. Some of that has to do with trust of myself. Some of that has to do with some confidence. Some of that has to do with imposter syndrome. But guess what? I am in a group of women who are in the same page as me. So on same situation as me, who have probably been there before and are in a different space, or some may be right where I am. Why don't I use that opportunity to go into that group and say, hey, ladies, I am struggling with charging my worth. This is what I'm feeling. This is what I'm thinking. Is anybody willing to just like talk me through it, or give me some advice, and allow those people to pour into me versus, what I'm doing? I'm over here trying to ask myself these questions and I don't have any answers. You know why? Because I'm the same person. I'm the same person. And so at the end of the day, I'm just gonna tell myself the same thing. Girl, you can do it. Yeah, you can. Like I can, but can you? Like it's just me. And so if I'm not taking the taking the opportunity to be able to put myself out there, to be vulnerable, to get either the right answer or the wrong answer, whatever's going to work, I'm going to be in the same spot. So the question I had to ask myself is that what do I have to lose, right? What do I have to lose by asking this community a question? Just because you ask them a question to support you in some type of way doesn't mean that you have to follow exactly what it is they say. You're asking for help, advice, feedback. It's a difference when you hire somebody and expect them to do a job and then they don't do it. And then you like, okay, this isn't working. I didn't get what I paid for. But asking the question is free. Receive my cousins say this all the time. Like when you're getting information from people, eat the meat and throw away the bones. You don't have to take it all in and be like, oh, I gotta do all this stuff because Keisha says she do this and that's the way I need to do it. No, that's not the way whatever works for you is going to work for you. But when you are in this space of recognizing that you're either in a community or you're trying to build community, you have to be able to you have to be able to give that and want that back in return. And so when it comes to slaying self-doubt in this slaying self-doubt and building a slaying self-doubt community, because that is something that I want to do, I have to understand what that looks like. What does the support look like? What is it that you all will need from me and from each other? And being able to clearly encourage that, because some of it also is the setting the expectation that this is where you go to for stuff, right? Like as when I was doing small groups, continuous, like when I had the three at the one time, it was a lot. Like it was a lot for me because I was leading them all, right? And I was just like, okay, listen, I enjoy this, but 30 different people coming to me saying, what's going on. Like that's a lot on top of the fact that I'm a bit of an empath, like y'all, I told y'all. And so I was taking on all that energy and I had to make a decision. And so what I did was for my older groups, the girls that had been together for a while, I set the expectation that they needed an accountability partner. And so I set it up and said, this person is going to be matched with this person. This is the person you check in with. If it goes beyond them, then you come to me. And I created a safe space for these ladies to be able to come to each other, to share their wins, share their struggles. And there was times they would, after a while, we would get the group and they'd be like, oh yeah, I talked to Tasha and, girl, blah, blah. And, I'm hearing it, at the end, like it's all over now. Like, yeah, whatever. But guess what? That was building community, because it's not just a one-way street. That would just be a relationship with me. But community is being able to use, share with the people around you and allow them to support you the way you need to be supported, or whatever gifts that they may have that you may not necessarily know that you need for them to pour into you, if that makes sense. Because I think sometimes is that as a leader, there are times where we take this stuff on where we feel like, hey, this is my group, this is my community, I have to make sure. And I had to relinquish some of that, right? And be able to say that these women are gifted, these women have discernment, these women have gifts and assignments that I did not give them, that don't belong to me, that God said this is what you're supposed to be doing. And I'm stifling their assignment. I'm stifling their gift by not allowing them to use it the way that they need to with each other, right? Because I may be able to see certain things, but if you're not actively using it, other people can't see it. And so you need to, when I say that, to say that it is not just the responsibility of the leader to keep the community going. It is also the community that has to be able to support each other so that you can support the leader, so that the leader can then do other things and move forward and make sure that the community is growing. Because if it's all on the one person, if it's up to me, I'm not doing no more. These 5 people, this is it. We not growing no further because I can't, right? I just can't. But then that also goes to whether or not it's the right group for you, right? We talk about this even when you talk about your job, and if it's the right seat, or you're on the right bus in the right seat, or even if you're on the right bus, right? And even thinking about, with the small groups, when I started small groups and when I changed the name to Slaying Self Doubt, the entire community changed. Every single female that was with me in the very beginning, when I transitioned to Slaying Self Doubt, they all were gone. Nobody reached back out to me. Nobody said anything. And I was like, okay, guess where you're doing this. But guess what? That catapulted me into where I am right now. So there was a reason for that. You just going with it and understanding that this is bigger than us. When you are building a community, when you want to be a part of a community, you really have to have the discernment to allow God to pour that into you so that you're able to um pour that into you so that you're able to really get it, right? So that you're able to really receive it and really um just so that you're able to receive it and so that you're able to get what you need out of it, right? And so for today, in talking about, I know I said a lot. It's so weird because sometimes when I'm talking, I feel like I have so many different things to say, but also they have something to do with like future stuff. So I'm like pulling my stuff back because I'm trying to practice on doing these series where I'm like, okay, instead of talking about everything in one thing, let's kind of break this down. And so I hope it didn't sound like it was all over the place. I hope you were able to get something out of it because in my mind, I'm like, oh, I want to say this. I'm like, no, I got to say that until next week. But I really want to, just encourage you to, if you're in a certain community right now, and this is a charge on me as well, you need to pour into that community. You need to make an effort to, if you have to set an alarm every day, or how often, you decide how often you want to participate in that community and go back and do the work. You joined it for a reason. You're still a part of it for a reason. And, or if you realize that group is no longer serving you, leave so that someone else who needs that spot can have it. That's just that's the end. If it no longer serves you, and or you are not going to willingly participate, leave so that that leader can give it to somebody else. um and then, so if you decide that this is the group, I want you to commit to participating in it. Pick 2 days out the week and make sure that you go in there, you talk to encourage another woman, and share something from you, and be an active participant of the group so that you can get something out of it. And then lastly, if you are a leader of a group, ask for help from your members. If you notice that you're doing things by yourself and it's just on you, you ask for help. My leader, my group knows that I volunteer people stuff, right? So there's sometimes we may go, we'll go through stuff and I'll be like, all right, Tasha, I need you to pray us in. Okay, Keisha, I need you to pray us out. I may not let them know ahead of time, but they've been with me long enough that they know I will volunteer them. I may ask a question and it's like dry. And so instead I'll be like, Tasha, can you tell me blah, blah, blah. And then because we all are not always just willing to just like open our mouths. Everybody isn't like that. Everybody isn't. And I'm like that. I could probably sit in a group and be quiet for like months and not say anything and be like, this is the best group I ever been in, because I'm getting something from it, but I'm not pouring into it, and that's just not fair. So those are the takeaways from today. So if you don't need to be, if the group is no longer serving you, if the community is no longer serving you, get out. If you realize that it is serving you, participate at least twice a week. And if you are a leader, ask for help. Call on your community to call them to the table and say, hey, we're in this together. This isn't just me. Like we're in this together. As always, thank y'all for rocking with me. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for reposting. Thank you for donating. Thank you for your DMs, your emails, all of those things. It is definitely, I read every single one. I am supportive. It supports me. It affirms me. It reminds me that I just need to continue to do what I'm doing. We will have a big announcement next week, and I am really excited about. I think that's what's probably taking over my mind right now, but I have to get some things in order before I announce it. But next week, I am certain that next week will be the announcement. And then I'd love to talk to y'all in the comments. So make sure that you share, rate, and review. You can follow me on Instagram at Slaying Self Doubt. Remember, like I said earlier, if you're interested in finding out more about coaching and working with me, book a connection call at www.feliciawallace.com. And then until next week, see ya. All right, y'all, that's all for this week. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to share, subscribe, rate, and review. Remember to head over to Facebook and Instagram and follow me at Slaying Self Doubt. Oh, wait, don't forget, go to my YouTube channel and watch this episode, and remember to press the subscribe button. Until next week, see ya.